NBC 10 News starts now.
First at 11, invitation on the table. Folks at the homeless encampment on the Ben Franklin Parkway are asking Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney to join them for brunch. Thanks for staying up with us this evening. I'm Rosemary Connors. Tomorrow, organizers at the encampment want to break bread with the mayor to further their mission of housing for the homeless. This as the city's deadline to clear out the camps has come and gone. While the organizers at the camps are hopeful, NBC 10's Drew Smith reports many neighbors are frustrated.
A large sheet hangs at 22nd Street in the Ben Franklin Parkway, inviting Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney to brunch at the barricaded homeless camp.
The mayor hasn't responded yet to our invitation, but the community is preparing and being hopeful and optimistic that the mayor is going to show up.
And come and meet us, because I don't understand why we deserve houses too. Y'all have somewhere safe to live. Why can't we?
They want permanent housing for the homeless. The mayor's office said last week that negotiations have been difficult because the organizers' demands have constantly changed, and they've asked for things the city has no control over.
And they have utterly failed, beginning with their second and third eviction notices that really went nowhere.
Brian Anderson lives in the surrounding neighborhood. His kids want to play on these fields.
We're not allowed. It's barricaded. You can't physically get there and play ball.
He also notes the camp has blocked off 22nd Street, snarling traffic, and watching the people getting ready to defend the camp from the city's planned clearing was frightening. At the camp, people say they're not going to go anywhere unless demands are met.
Y'all take this away, it's going to be a lot of problems. It's going to be a lot of chaos. We need housing.
Hopefully, Mayor Kenney, you will come.
The mayor's office did not respond Sunday on if he will participate in this brunch. Anderson told us the neighbors also have questions for him.
How long are you going to allow this lawlessness to continue?
Organizers say they're having a restaurant cater this event on Monday. They plan to take coronavirus precautions, and even if the mayor doesn't show, they hope it's still a productive moment. On the Parkway, I'm Drew Smith, NBC 10 News.
If only they had won. The victory would have lifted all of us, right? But it was a disappointing day. The Birds lost their season opener against Washington. NBC Sports Philadelphia's John Clark is here to show us what went wrong after the game started out so right, John.
Yeah, really a tale of two different games here. A tough way to start the season for the Eagles. They blew a 17-point lead. They've only blown 4 bigger leads in team history. Carson Wentz turned the ball over 3 times. You're not going to win with that. This is a familiar sight all day long. Carson Wentz on his back. The offensive line was missing 3 starters, and Carson got sacked 8 times, the most in his career. He threw 2 interceptions, and that really was the turning point. He also fumbled. Washington scored 27 unanswered points. So the Eagles lose to Washington 27-17, and the Eagles lost more starters to injuries. You see Carson Wentz there, the expression. Coming up, Carson Wentz takes the blame. You will hear from him in 15 minutes on Philly Live Sports Edition, and right after that on Eagles Game Day Final. We're going to go one-on-one with Coach Doug Peterson. Also, Ike Reese and Mike Quick will join us. I'm John Clark. We will see you then.
You got it all. All right, thanks for that, John. Let's get a quick check of the other news that we're keeping an eye on this evening. Let's head out to Lancaster, where the district attorney's office there is investigating the shooting death of a 27-year-old man at the hands of a police officer. As you can see, a large crowd is already protesting the death. Investigators tell us body camera video shows police responding to a domestic disturbance this afternoon when they encountered the man who chased after one of the officers with a knife. The DA is asking the protesters to remain peaceful as the investigation continues. Tomorrow, President Trump will head west to see the fire-ravaged state of California. And we've learned that Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris will also visit California tomorrow. Of course, that's the state she represents in the Senate. Former Vice President Joe Biden, her running mate, will be in Wilmington tomorrow, where he plans to speak about the wildfires and their relation to climate change. Coming up this month, we mark 25 years since the switch to NBC 10. We go behind the scenes to show you how it all happened.
You're watching Philadelphia's NBC 10. Now, live from the News Center, this is News 10 Premier Edition.
NBC 10 turns 25 years old this month, and we are celebrating. Way back in 1995, it was dubbed the Big Switch. NBC 10 reporter Tim Furlong takes us down memory lane to explain.
Was it like literally a switch? Well, yes and no. At 1 a.m. on September 10th, 1995,
This is
CBS 10 became NBC 10.
You're watching NBC.
Former NBC 10 producer Bill Shull wrote the book, or at least a book, on the history of Philly TV and has a whole section about the Big Switch.
For a lot of people, they remember WCAU for people like Walter Cronkite, for John Facenda, for that big CBSI that was next to the 10 on the building on City Line Avenue.
Long story short, when Fox got the rights to the NFL, the TV world went bonkers, and NBC announced they were going to buy Channel 10 so they could have a station in the big Philly TV market.
Hold on to your hat, they're selling us.
Steve Dorr was the news director at Channel 10 in 1994 when the plan was unveiled, and he was in charge of the huge fanfare and cheesy promos leading up to the switch. Cool. But make no mistake, this was to be a very good thing for Channel 10.
You know, those were in the days when NBC was at its absolute peak. It was Seinfeld, and it was Cheers, and it was, you know, must-see TV and ER.
The switch was a bit weird for everyone at Channel 10, same deal for everyone at Channel 3.
So that day when people woke up, where were they going to find the Today Show? On the following Sunday, where were they going to find 60 Minutes? I mean, really, where were they going to find Pat Shiraki?
Channel 10 still had the Randall Cunningham Show.
We're still right here on NBC 10.
We still had Big Al Meltzer and Vi and Ron Burke, but we got the Today Show, Tom Brokaw, and some serious primetime hits.
Channel 10 is now NBC 10.
Frasier, Seinfeld, Friends, ER, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. These were huge gets for Channel 10. And on September 9th, 1995, hours before the switch, Channel 10 got a whole bunch of new signage. The I logo came off the lawn. A big NBC sign took its place. The newsroom got a new look, and so did our entire fleet of news vehicles.
And the whole place was color. It was peacocks on everything.
And with the switch at 1 a.m. on September 10th, NBC 10 debuted a bunch of new newscasts.
For you here. How about that, folks? It is
the late Siani Lee sort of emceed our on-air coverage of the switch. Off-air, there was also a lot of work being done.
I think our tagline was Channel 10 is now NBC 10. And we ran it and ran it and ran it.
We don't produce our news on City Ave anymore. NBC 10 and our teammates at Telemundo 62 are now in Center City. And yep, all these years later, some people still ask us, hey, aren't you CBS? They certainly can't believe it's now been 25 years since the switch. We are glad we got the Peacock.
The celebration the night that we had the big party when we switched over, it was a good feeling to see that Peacock.
Sunday, Channel 10 is changing to NBC 10. Pass it on.
I'm Tim Furlong, NBC 10. Yes, NBC 10 News.
Our series Since the Switch, 25 years of NBC 10, continues tomorrow morning on NBC 10 News Today. NBC 10 anchor Keith Jones takes a look at some of the most memorable stories and, yes, mustaches, stories we've covered over the last quarter century. It's a blizzard of 96, by the way. All right, now let's get to our NBC 10 First Alert weather. Much calmer than that blizzard of the 90s. Meteorologist Crystal Clay is here to show us how the week is shaping up. Crystal?
Did I see Glenn and Bill in that promo? Loved it.
I think so.
I love that. And yeah, no snow, Rosemary. We aren't ready for that yet, but I do have some cooler temperatures over the next couple of days. So let's talk about those conditions outside as they are right now compared to how they'll be in, say, 48 hours or so. So currently we're pretty dry, just a couple small showers passing by. And remember, this is what we expected, that the front would mostly pass through dry with just maybe a spot shower or two moving throughout. So as we go hour by hour, this is about 4 a.m. You see a sprinkler or two in South Jersey and Delaware. And then as we get into tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., just a last shower kind of passing over parts of southern Delaware, maybe even the shore. By the time we get into the afternoon on Monday, we've cleared out and the sun has returned. So temperature about 79 degrees for a high in Philadelphia for our Monday afternoon, 75 in the Lehigh Valley, and 79 in Delaware, about 80 in South Jersey. Pretty comfortable temperatures. But take a look on our computer model run. When we go to tomorrow night into early Tuesday morning, this is Tuesday, 6 a.m., now we're in the middle 50s in Philly, and you see those are 40s in Reading and Allentown. A chilly start to our Tuesday morning, and honestly a pretty cool afternoon too. We're talking 60s for highs northward and only about 72 in Philadelphia on Tuesday. So it'll be dry, but it'll be chilly. As we look at our forecast temperatures and the rip current risk that we have down the shore, it's still going to be high tomorrow. So the reason behind that high rip current risk is actually way out to sea. It's Hurricane Paulette, likely to have some impacts to Bermuda, but otherwise no direct impacts to the U.S., but it could power up to a Category 3 strength. The result is it really churns up the seas outside of our shoreline, and that's why we'll have that high risk for rip currents the next several days. Of course, we're also watching Tropical Storm Sally, likely to power up into a Category 1 hurricane by tomorrow. And then notice at Category 1 strength, potential landfall somewhere near New Orleans coastline. This is Tuesday morning, but notice even at Tuesday night, it's still pretty much in the same area. So it's slow moving, which likely will bring heavy rain and flooding to the area. There are already hurricane warnings in place. This will start to hook off to the right Wednesday into Thursday. Doesn't look like it'll have much of an impact to our region. So here's our 10-day on 10. It's pretty good. Like I mentioned, only 72 on Tuesday with sunshine. Wednesday, mostly sunny at 77 degrees. And Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun at 80 degrees. Low humidity for most of these days, but Thursday night into Friday, we will bring back a chance of showers. By Friday afternoon, though, we're drying out. And Rosemary, no snow, but only 60s it looks like next Saturday, and Sunday certainly going to feel like fall conditions. We'll be right back.
One of the few good things to come out of this pandemic, the Versus Battles. The contest, live streamed on Apple Music and Instagram, pits legendary performers against each other. And this weekend, Philly's own Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight faced off at the Fillmore in Fishtown.
Get on up there.
It's a friendly competition. They encourage each other as they hit the high notes of their popular songs. And another legend, Dionne Warwick, made a surprise appearance. Can you believe it? Awesome. That's it for NBC 10 News at 11. Philly Live Sports Edition is coming up next.
Philly Live Sports Edition, sponsored by Lundy Law. Injured? Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW.
We got the interceptions. I put our defense in a bad spot on a couple occasions. And, you know, it was just, we've definitely lost some momentum, and, you know, we didn't make the plays we needed to make. And I got to be better. It starts with me. I got to protect the ball, lead these guys better, and I'll own that.
Carson Wentz taking the blame. Bottom line, Carson Wentz threw 2 interceptions and he fumbled. And when he has 3 turnovers or more, the Eagles are 0-4 in those games. Welcome to Philly Live Sports Edition. I'm John Clark. We're bringing you 40 minutes of Eagles coverage with some Phillies misery mixed in. So let's get started.
Let's get started. Brought to you by AAA. Wherever the open road takes you, take AAA.
The Eagles and Washington players, they came together for a moment of unity pregame. That was very nice. But when the anthem was played, the Eagles were in their locker room. All right, let's go to the game. The Birds' first possession. Carson Wentz, razor sharp, hits Zach Ertz for a touchdown. Zach is second in the NFL in red zone TD since 2017. Carson completed 4 of 5 on the drive. Zach gets his first touchdown of the season. Birds' next possession. It's 3rd and 22. No problem, because Jalen Reagor is going to beat Ronald Darby 55 yards. Last year, only Deshaun Jackson had over a 50-yard catch. Reagor already has one this year. One more look. His first NFL catch, big one. That's going to lead to an Eagles field goal, 10-0 Birds. They are going to be more explosive. Second quarter, the Eagles are missing 3 starters on the offensive line. They're struggling up front. Montez Sweat hits Carson Wentz hard. 4 sacks for Washington in the first 3 series. That forces a punt. Eagles' next drive. Carson, nice ball to Dallas Goedert. Good adjustment there. 34-yard touchdown. Eagles are up 17-0. First 100-yard game for Dallas. One more quick look. Beautiful catch. Fantastic adjustment by Dallas. Eagles tight ends dominating. As for big play Slay, he did go wherever Terry McLaurin did. McLaurin held to 61 yards. Much different story this year against the Washington Speedster. Yeah, Slay gives the finger whack. Eagles looking for more at the end of the half. Under 2 minutes left. Carson, his pass is Off target, intercepted. That is a big momentum-changing pick right there, and they convert right away. Dwayne Haskins to Logan Thomas. Washington is on the board, 17-7, so they've got momentum into the locker room. Third quarter, Carson, another interception. This pick in the middle of an 0-for-6 stretch. Washington is in business once again, a good return, and they are going to capitalize coming up here, 3rd and goal. Peyton Barber smashes into the end zone. So Washington gets 14 points off the 2 Carson picks. It is now 17-14. More bad news. Lane Johnson's backup, Jack Driscoll, leaves the game. So Jordan Mailata comes in at right tackle. Same drive. Doug Peterson goes for it. 4th and 4. Washington dumps Carson for another sack. 8 sacks the Eagles gave up. That's their most in 13 years. So it is 17 all. 4th quarter right now. Washington on the doorstep. Barber again dives across. Washington with 24 straight points. Eagles are down 24-17. Eagles now another 4th down. All of their timeouts, but they're going for it. Carson hits Zach Ertz in the hands, but Zach can't hang on. Another turnover on downs. Washington turns it into 3. 27 unanswered points. What happened? 27-17. Eagles in desperation mode. One more sack, and Carson is going to fumble. Washington recovers, and that is going to do it. Eagles lose 27-17. The Eagles have given up 8 or more sacks in 29 games in team history. They've only won 2 of those 29 games. You can't win with that. Now, injuries on the offensive line are really hurting the continuity. That is the talk of Philly sports tonight.
The talk of Philly sports, brought to you by First Trust Bank, official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles started rookie Jack Driscoll at right tackle and Nate Herbig at right guard, both of them making their first NFL starts. The Eagles couldn't run the ball very well. Carson went down 8 times, most in his career. Now, there should have been some times where he got the ball out quicker. So was it more on the O-line or Carson holding on to the ball? Doug Peterson says it was a little of both.
We got to eliminate the mistakes. We can't have the sacks. We can't have the turnovers that we had today and expect to win, especially against a division opponent.
The sacks and those things, culmination of different things. I mean, every play was its own play. Definitely times I could get rid of the ball quicker. Definitely some miscommunication that I got to help clean up.
No excuses. I think I've had plenty of work with the guys that were out there today, and I don't think anybody in particular played an individually terrible game. I think everybody kind of had their chances to screw this one up.
Now, the Eagles were down 8 starters by the end of the game. Brandon Graham left to be checked for a concussion. They are banged up. Carson started off so well in this game. 14 of 18 for around 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. But after the Eagles went up 17-0 in the second quarter, Carson threw this interception with under 2 minutes left in the half. Can't do it. The rest of the way, Carson had 3 turnovers there, only completed 10 of 25 passes. He was getting hit all afternoon. That did affect him, right? The first pick was a big turning point.
It was very frustrating. It's very frustrating walking off that field, knowing the momentum and how we felt early in that game. Got up early off to a great start and kind of spiraled out of control. Turned the ball over, got to protect the ball. So it was definitely frustrating walking off that field.
And it was tough. We got a little bit aggressive. Anytime you turn the ball over on your own side of the field, puts the defense in a really tough position. They battled. The defense was playing great, and we put them in tough spots.
Now, you can put 17 points from the turnovers and the sacks on the offense. The defense held Washington to 239 yards, but Washington did have 3 red zone TDs. Here's Jalen Mills about bouncing back next week.
Week 1 versus a division opponent, it's definitely tough, but we can't. It's a long season. It's week 1. We can't, keep try to dig ourselves in the hole and and stay there. We got a really, really good team coming in here week 2 with the Rams, and we got to know that they don't care if we win, loss, it doesn't matter. They're going to come in here and give us their best shot.
And the Rams beat the Cowboys tonight. We'll have that later. The Phillies, they've got bad injury news as well. Rookie Spencer Howard has been put on the injured list. JT Realmuto and Rhys Hoskins, they're going to have MRIs tomorrow. JT left Saturday night's game with a hip issue. Joe Girardi thinks JT could miss some time here. Is it days or weeks? We don't know. Rhys Hoskins has a forearm issue from this. They both missed the doubleheader today.
It's a real concern anytime anyone gets an MRI, but we want to get an idea of exactly what's going on, give us a better way of treating it and knowing how long to expect they're going to be out.
I've never had anything like this happen, fortunately. So I'm not really sure what, to look forward to in terms of the way it's supposed to feel.
So look at the Phillies lineup today, kind of like the Eagles' offensive line. And then you've got Sixto Sanchez for the Marlins. Of course, the Phillies traded him to get JT Realmuto in the sixth. Marlins are up 1. Bryce Harper 2 on, 2 out. And Sixto gets out of the inning. Sixto just dominating the Phillies today. In the 7th, he's going to blow away Alec Bohm. 100-mile-per-hour fastball right there. So Sixto, the 22-year-old, a complete game in the opener of the doubleheader. 7 innings, just gave up 1 run. Phillies lose game 1, 2-1. Let's go to game 2. Not much better for the Phillies. Zach Eflin was on the mound in the 3rd inning. Zach Eflin, he's going to allow 1 of 4 earned runs over the 4 innings he pitched. So he would leave the game trailing by 3. This is the Marlins we're talking about. Ranger Suarez comes in, allows 4 earned runs of his own. Marlins win the second game 8-1, so they sweep the doubleheader. Phillies just 1 run in each game, 7 total hits. Ouch. The Phillies finally wrap up the marathon series with the Marlins tomorrow afternoon. And guess who's the stopper? Vince Velasquez. We're right back.
What to watch, presented by your Philadelphia Tri-State Cadillac dealers.
Hey, what to watch for this week? That's easy. Tiger Woods back to attempt to win another U.S. Open. The last time he won an Open, 2008, he had that severe knee injury. The U.S. Open starts Thursday with full coverage on the Golf Channel right here on NBC 10 and our streaming service Peacock. Finally tonight, must-see in Philly. It is Eagles fans. They're socially distancing today, hanging at a drive-in theater in New Jersey to watch the Birds game. This was the scene in Monroe Township. They had a 40-foot video screen to watch the Eagles and space for up to 150 cars. Now, they thought it was going to be a comedy, right? The Eagles were up 17-0. They had beaten Washington 6 straight times. Kind of turned into a horror show, though, right? Hopefully, Eagles will do better next week against the Rams. That's going to do it for Philly Sports Live. And Eagles Game Day Final is coming up next. We're going to go one-on-one with Doug Peterson, answering the questions that you have for him. Stay tuned for that.